In the early 2010s, JonTron was one of the most beloved personalities on YouTube. Known for his high energy and game reviews, Jonathan Jafari has remained dominant on YouTube, starting his main channel back in 2010 and gaining millions of subscribers and over 1 billion views. He built a channel that was strange, chaotic, and hilarious to many. But unfortunately, JonTron decided to take a sharp right turn, straight into conspiracy territory. And this is where things stopped being funny. It started with a tweet defending Iowa Congressman Steve King, who infamously said, "We can't restore our civilization with somebody else's babies." Instead of distancing himself from the implications, JonTron escalated things. The downfall began in 2017. After the US election, John suddenly found himself political. He appeared on a livestream debate with Destiny, a Twitch streamer known for his leftist political ideologies and live debates he often hosts. John, for reasons known only to him, came preloaded with Fox News talking points and a thesaurus full of white nationalist code words. According to JonTron, multicultural societies aren't sustainable. He argued that no one wants to become a minority in their own country, said that wealthy black people commit more crimes than poor white people, and claimed there were large swaths of Mexican Americans trying to reclaim the American Southwest. He later went on to clarify by saying, colonization might have been a good thing for Africa. He said institutional racism is garbage and that the real problem was that white people are being discriminated against. In his words, "I hate that argument like Democrats are the real racist, but sometimes I don't know." The backlash was swift and multi-layered. On May 18th, 2017, Normal Boots, the creator collective John co-founded, issued a painfully neutral breakup note saying he would no longer be an active member, but was still an honored founder. They called it a mutual understanding. Whether or not that was true, it was clear he had become a liability. John responded with a video titled My Statement, in which he explained that he just wasn't prepared for a serious political debate and that his words had been misconstrued. He blamed media outlets for misrepresenting his ideas, called articles critical of him not charitable, and defended himself by attacking the Southern Poverty Law Center. According to him, the SPLC was the worst, and their criticism was just another example of anti-white bias. His fans were split. Some remained loyal, but many, especially longtime supporters who had followed him for his apolitical humor, left disappointed. According to reports from Kotaku and other outlets, John saw subscriber loss and brand disinterest, effectively pushing him out of the mainstream YouTube spotlight. JonTron's uploads slowed, the drama cooled, and for a while, he just disappeared from the conversation. On a podcast with H3H3 Productions later that year, John admitted he should have stayed away from such charged topics, unless he was better informed. He claimed he wasn't racist, he just wanted to have honest conversations. By that point, the damage had been done. When you're throwing around stats about black crime, praising colonialism, and defending white civilization, most people stop seeing the reasons. JonTron got backlash for things he very clearly said on camera multiple times, with a lot of confidence. Samuel Whitcomb Hyde, known for his loud, erratic comedy and internet notoriety, built a career walking the line between satire and something far more serious. He's a comedian, a co-founder of the sketch group $1 Million Extreme, and a viral prankster, but he's also someone whose work and public behavior have been linked, often directly, to the alt-right, conspiracies, and performative hate. In 2016, Hyde's sketch show $1 Million Extreme Presents World Peace premiered on Adult Swim. It was strange, abrasive, and at times completely unhinged. To some, it was just absurdist comedy. However, critics found a different narrative filled with racist nods, alt-right dog whistles, and questionable imagery. One sketch featured blackface, others used phrases and aesthetics borrowed directly from extremist message boards. By the end of the first season, World Peace was cancelled. Hyde claimed it was political and said he was blacklisted because he supported Trump. Adult Swim didn't publicly give a reason, but according to insiders, executives were deeply uncomfortable with the fanbase the show attracted and what the show seemed to represent. Hyde's defenders argued he was trolling, but when your skits are endorsed by men's rights groups and white nationalist blogs, that just a joke defense starts to wear thin. And this wasn't a one-time controversy. As Hyde's notoriety grew, so did the consequences. On May 4th, 2018, YouTube permanently deleted the $1 Million Extreme channel for repeated violations of its community guidelines. That same year, Reddit banned the group's subreddit. Then in 2020, all 6 episodes of World Peace quietly disappeared from Adult Swim's website. Even his post-cancellation behavior was weird. When the Washington Post reached out for comment on the show's removal, Hyde, without provocation, replied that most of his YouTube ad revenue was from the KKK. This was obviously a joke, but also very ambiguous, which he thrives on. The problem is, ambiguity can't hide everything. Hyde has built a persona on intentionally offensive behavior to create believable deniability. In interviews, he has danced around accountability, once saying, "I'm probably as racist or biased as the average white guy or black guy." Then, in 2017, Hyde donated $5,000 to Andrew Anglin, founder of the Daily Stormer. Hyde's supporters said it was another stunt, but for many, that was the moment the mask slipped. Academics Matt Sienkiewicz and Nick Marks called it what it was, saying the quiet part out loud. According to them, Hyde's entire act thrives on ambiguity, where some viewers are in on the joke and others are the joke. The outrage becomes part of the performance. One half of the audience reacts in disgust, the other laughs at them for caring. This weaponized satire tactic lets him maintain a kind of cultural immunity. Hyde's online presence hasn't helped his case either. He's known for spreading misinformation, pushing conspiracies like Pizzagate, and reposting far-right content. Despite this, he maintains a dedicated following and has even influenced rising creators. Shane Gillis, for example, cited Hyde as a major influence on both his humor and style in an interview with Joe Rogan. The mainstream media has been less forgiving. Hope Not Hate, an anti-extremism advocacy group, has described Hyde as a far-right activist with a history of racism, misogyny, homophobia, and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Others argue that Hyde uses satire as a smokescreen to normalize extremism. On a recent podcast episode hosted by the YouTuber Bradley Martin, Hyde outright claims he is anti-Semitic. This time he is not joking or hiding behind irony whatsoever. He also goes on to explain his belief in the Great Replacement theory, which is the idea that white people are being outcasted from society, and some secret group, most likely Jewish people, are the ones pulling the strings. He covers his truly hateful beliefs with statements that come across more agreeable, such as saying, "I just think white people deserve to exist." In this podcast, he also claims that all of his skits are pushing these beliefs, and he hopes he is making a real impact, pushing white nationalism to unsuspecting viewers who just think he's funny. Still, he denies being racist, at least in a hateful way, and when pressed, he retreats to familiar ground, claiming censorship, bias, and cancel culture. In a 2016 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he dismissed criticisms of bias with a casual comment, "I'm probably just as biased as anyone else." But critics argue this equalizing rhetoric is part of the strategy to flatten serious accusations into harmless opinion. In the end, Hyde may insist he's just provoking thought, but more often than not, all he provokes is division. In the early 2010s, Toby Turner, better known as Tobuscus, was YouTube royalty. With his trademark hyperactivity, awkward charm, and rapid-fire sketches, Turner racked up millions of subscribers across multiple channels. His videos were catchy, clean, and tailor-made for early YouTube's all-ages audience. If you were around back then, you couldn't scroll more than a few pages without stumbling on a literal trailer, a cute win-fail montage, or the infamous Tobuscus Adventures animated shorts. But this is about early internet success. What happens when one of the platform's golden boys goes from hosting comedy vlogs to spiraling into irrelevance, controversy, and borderline alt-right talking points? Toby's brand was always curated to be advertiser-friendly. He blurred explicit content and played the role of the geeky, excitable everyman. By 2012, Turner had built an empire, product endorsements, a book deal with HarperCollins, and even a YouTube Red series. He was everywhere. Then it all came crashing down. In 2016, allegations surfaced from multiple ex-girlfriends, the most serious coming from April Fletcher. She accused Turner of emotional abuse, sexual assault, and drug-fueled manipulation. Nothing was ever pursued in court, but the damage was done. Brands pulled out, sponsorships evaporated, and Hollywood dropped him like deadweight. YouTube, ever allergic to controversy, stopped promoting his content. Almost overnight, Turner's thriving career came to a standstill. It was later revealed that these allegations were false. But beyond the headlines, his behavior was reportedly spiraling as well. Several creators who had worked with Turner alleged that he had a long-standing problem with hard drugs, specifically cocaine. Friends and collaborators distanced themselves. His uploads became more erratic. For someone once at the top of the creator economy, he found himself completely locked out of the system he helped build. As his viewership declined and his relevance slipped further, his tone changed. He began sharing increasingly unhinged takes, often delivered with the same manic, theatrical style that once won him fans, but now wrapped with racist vitriol. In one viral moment, Turner tweeted, "I'm not racist, I'm American. We hate racism and we destroyed the Nazis. Anyone who disagrees with me is being paid." Not long after, he added, "My only regret is deleting videos that bigots claimed were anti-Semitic or racist." When someone tweeted at him, "Say the hard R, Toby," his response was, "Nah, I'm not racist." In another reply to someone calling his material the most racist shit ever, he said, "White people should have never appropriated the culture of slavery and then banned it. Bit of a slap in the face to Africa and Asia where slavery is still a booming business." The sarcasm in those replies isn't difficult to spot, but the problem with sarcasm, especially when paired with years of misconduct and erratic behavior, is that it starts to sound more like justification than humor. By 2024, Turner had started calling himself liberal and conservative, walking a line that's increasingly familiar in the post-cancellation influencer playbook. He plays both sides, aligns with neither, and pushes content that mixes politics, rage bait, and stream of consciousness chaos. The neutrality often feels less like balance and more like safety, keeping the door open to whichever audience hasn't left him yet. In May 2025, he made multiple tweets about the N-word, with one saying nobody gets to say the N-word anymore unless they're Black Americans. Someone responded, "N-word inflation is rising," and he responded to that with, "I invested in it in 2020. He also tweeted, "I dislike the N-word because only I should be able to say it." He then dropped a video with him saying the N-word multiple times using an Ebonics accent. Toby Turner more than faded away. He nosedived. The allegations, the addiction rumors, the complete collapse of his once thriving business, all of it contributed. But what's maybe more tragic is what came after. The inability to process the downfall in any way other than denial and hostility. Turner was one of the first true stars of the platform. His decline felt like the end of an era. Calvin Lee Vale, better known online as LeafyIsHere, rose to prominence as a reaction and commentary creator during YouTube's Wild West phase, where saying something offensive was practically a content strategy. His commentary videos were a centerpiece of mid-2010s YouTube culture, edgy monologues layered over low-energy gameplay, and a never-ending supply of insults for whatever person or topic was trending that week. His formula was simple: no facecam and low-effort editing, just a faceless voice running his mouth while Counter-Strike played in the background. It wasn't the production quality that hooked viewers, it was the sense that Leafy was saying the things others couldn't. That was the trick. For a while it worked. From 2011 to 2017, Leafy accumulated millions of subscribers by doing what few dare to do, harassing everyone. It didn't matter if they were autistic, overweight, old or young. If they existed on the internet and had a webcam, they were fair game. What made Leafy particularly dangerous was that he was just good enough at skirting YouTube's terms of service until he wasn't. The first major tremors of his downfall came not from YouTube moderation, but from his own behavior spilling over into outright bigotry. Over time, his tweets exposed a pattern of racial insensitivity that went beyond bad taste. Leafy had openly tweeted about having an N-word pass. While some followers laughed it off, others began to notice the trend. After his return to making videos in the early 2020s, he made crude remarks about creators of color, often using racial undertones as the punchline. He threw around slurs under the guise of ironic comedy, defended racist jokes as satire, and referred to figures like PewDiePie as racist in what seemed to be more of a deflection tactic than genuine critique. After his YouTube channel was terminated for continuously harassing another creator, he said cancel culture had gone too far. He framed himself as a victim, someone too real for the sanitized world of modern YouTube. But what he never did was take accountability. Not for the bullying, not for the racism, not for the destruction left in his wake. And it wasn't just YouTube that pulled away. Once the ban hit, sponsors disappeared, collaborators ghosted. Fans who had grown older or more socially aware stopped defending him. The edgelord era was over, and Leafy never evolved past it. He switched to live streaming and uploading on Rumble, a free speech platform where anything goes, and pretty much every single thing he posted on there had something to do with racist, transphobic, homophobic, or anti-Semitic remarks. Most of his tweets during this time followed this same trend. His repeated use of racial baiting, including jokes about slurs and fake passes to use them, is now impossible to separate from the rest of his brand. While his defenders argue that it was just satire, the same excuse used by dozens of creators before him, it's important to understand the pattern. People like Leafy don't just tell racist jokes, they create an environment where racism becomes normalized, where their massive platforms make bigotry seem edgy instead of dangerous. He spent years cultivating an audience that saw harassment as entertainment and punching down as comedy. The result was a total collapse. There was no platform, no legacy, just a long trail of broken rules, targeted creators, and racist soundbites. He built a career by pushing the envelope, and eventually, that envelope pushed back. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on any of the racist YouTubers I discussed in this video, and subscribe if you would like to see a part 2 or more videos like this one. Thank you again, and goodbye.